October 1847. The Brennan family left Independence, Missouri with dreams of fertile land in Oregon Territory. Sarah and Thomas, with their 2 young children, joined a wagon train of 37 souls. They had provisions for 6 months, sturdy oxen, and hope burning brighter than their campfires. But hope alone cannot hold back winter. By late November, they reached the Sierra Nevada, 3 weeks behind schedule. The first snow came early that year, soft as whispers, deadly as wolves. Within days, the mountain pass became impassable. 37 people, trapped, and winter had only just begun. They had no choice but to make camp at 7,000 feet. The men built crude shelters from wagon canvas and pine branches. Sarah watched their supplies dwindle. Flour, salt pork, dried beans. She did the arithmetic in her head. At half rations, they had food for maybe 6 weeks. The snow showed no signs of stopping. Old William Tucker died first. Pneumonia took him in his sleep. They couldn't dig a grave in the frozen earth, so they laid stones over his body and said what prayers they remembered. Sarah pulled her children closer that night, feeling the cold seeping through every crack in their shelter. Death had found them. It would not be the last time. By December, they were eating boiled leather and tree bark. The oxen had long since been slaughtered and consumed. Sarah learned to make soup from bones they'd already boiled 3 times. She gave most of her portion to her children, lying that she'd eaten earlier. Thomas and other men tried to hunt, but the deer had fled to lower ground. The snow now stood 15 feet deep in places. In early January, Sarah made a decision that would haunt her forever. The children were dying. Someone had to walk out, had to bring help. Thomas was too weak from giving his food away. She was the strongest left. So at dawn, she would leave her family and trek through 40 miles of winter hell to reach the nearest settlement. 40 miles that might as well have been 1,000. She left before the children woke. She couldn't bear to see their faces. Sarah carried a blanket, Thomas's compass, and 3 days of what passed for food, a handful of pine nuts, and a strip of dried leather. The temperature was 5 degrees below zero. The wind cut through her layers like they were paper, but she walked. 1 step, then another, because her children's lives depended on every footfall. On the 2nd day, a blizzard struck. Sarah couldn't see 10 feet ahead. She tied herself to trees when she stopped, terrified she'd fall asleep and never wake. The wind screamed like something alive and angry. Twice she fell through snow crusts into drifts over her head. Twice she clawed her way out. The compass kept her moving west. West toward hope, west toward life. On the 4th day, Sarah's body began to fail. Her feet were numb. She couldn't feel her fingers. The hunger had become something beyond pain, a vast emptiness that swallowed everything. She saw her children in the trees, calling to her. She saw her mother, dead 5 years, beckoning her to rest. Just rest. The compass fell into the snow. Sarah closed her eyes, but then she heard it, her daughter's voice from the morning she left. "Mama, will you come back?" And Sarah opened her eyes. She found them at dusk on the 5th day, a mining camp, 20 souls living rough but living. Sarah collapsed at their door, unable to speak, her lips too frozen to form words. But they understood. They'd heard stories of the trapped wagon train. Within an hour, 5 men were loading supplies onto mules. Within 2 hours, they were climbing into the mountains. The rescue had begun. They reached the camp 3 days later. 22 people still lived. Sarah's children were among them, barely. Their small bodies withered, but their hearts still beating. Thomas had kept them alive by burning everything they owned, piece by piece. The rescuers brought food, medicine, and hope. But the real rescue had been Sarah's walk through hell itself. A mother's love measured in 40 miles of frozen determination. By April, the Brennan family reached Oregon Territory. Sarah walked with a limp. She'd lost 3 toes to frostbite. Thomas bore scars on his hands from the desperate cold of that winter. The children grew strong again, though they startled easily at sudden weather changes. 15 people from their wagon train never saw spring, but 22 did. 22 because one woman refused to let winter win. Because sometimes survival isn't about strength or supplies. It's about love that burns hotter than any cold can freeze. Sarah Brennan lived to be 73 years old. She rarely spoke of that winter, of those 5 days in the snow. But every winter, when the first flakes fell, she would stand at her window and remember. Remember that she had walked through death itself and lived, because that's what mothers do. They walk through hell and they come back.